on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Morning and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem, editor of Michigan.com, the fastest growing digital business magazine in the Middle Eastern communities in Michigan. This show is brought to you in cooperation between Michigan.com and U.S. Arab Radio. Today is Friday, May 29th, 2020. The weather is warm and pleasant. Temperature could hover around the 70s. With some rain. We are told that we're going to get less humidity tonight, so enjoy the weather. I would like to thank you for being with us. The number here is 248-557-3300. Please give us a call if you have a question or a comment. As you well know, the state of Michigan is reopening with a limited scope due to the coronavirus, COVID-19. And the state is busy, and state lawmakers and the governor and everyone is busy trying to make sure that we're safe, but also business is returning as slowly and as surely as it can be. With us this morning is State Representative Abdallah Hammoud for an update on what's going on at the state capitol. Good morning, Representative.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I hope we didn't get you up too early this morning.
No, not at all.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what's going on at the state capitol? Last time we talked, there were different issues that you guys working on. Please give us a quick update if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think most people are familiar that the governor has proposed a 6-phase plan for reopening the state of Michigan and kind of dividing Michigan up into 8 regions, here in Southeast Michigan being our own region. Today, we are currently moving towards phase 4, which opens up more businesses, allows smaller gatherings, and making our way closer to phase 5 and phase 6, where we can kind of resume, larger gatherings. Hopefully, in some time, we're having the discussions now about what will we do about schools in the fall. I think Michigan State University just came out yesterday announcing that they will have in-person classes here at the state level for the K-12 for high school, elementary, and middle. We have formed a council that is being put together of healthcare professionals, educators, parents, teachers, students, that will look at the data and the research and determine what protocols have to be put in place in order for us to allow in-person teaching again this fall. So we're monitoring that, and hopefully we'll have a game plan when the time comes. I think the largest discussion being had right now really has to do with the budget. In terms of COVID-19, it has really impacted the state budget. In total, we're looking at about a $3 billion with a B dollar hole in this fiscal year's budget. And the question is, how do we find resources to help alleviate what's happening? And so we're working with our partners at the federal level to try to see if we can bring down some federal resources to help fill those holes. If not, we're going to have to start talking about cuts across various budgets across the state.
Yeah. How would that affect schools?
Of the $3 billion, it's about $1.2 billion in the school aid budget, which is the budget that goes to high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, community college, and universities. Worst case scenario, for example, like the city of Dearborn, it could be, up to $17 million that they would not receive this year, that they had anticipated that they would receive. It's a very big cut. And it's a cut that, frankly, a lot of schools cannot handle. We already underfund schools, and something to this extent would be devastating for years to come.
The average person doesn't really understand is that we have money to spend on a lot of things on the federal level, yet we don't do it right away and try to assure people that schools will be funded. It's kind of difficult to understand.
Yeah, I think we've seen the federal government has an ability to come up with resources as they need. Unfortunately, they provide some dollars to states as it pertains to schools, but largely at the state level is where the determination is made how much we will spend on schools. And unfortunately, here in Michigan, years ago, we were not providing any increases to schools. And currently now, this year we had anticipated actually one of the largest increases we were going to give to schools, but then COVID-19 came, and now we're having a different conversation. But you're 100% right. I mean, adequate funding to schools is something that we should guarantee, not only for the students, but also for the employees, to guarantee the teachers and hourly workers and administrators and such will understand that they are going to be guaranteed their pay and provide them at least with that peace of mind.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. Excuse me, unemployment, where are we at?
So with unemployment, the governor spoke last week, and she said that over 92% of the claimants have been resolved. However, this week we got a very important announcement. There is a federal crime ring that is arose, and they are stealing people's identities and filing unemployment claims on their behalf to collect the federal pandemic unemployment assistance. So we're assuming, hundreds of thousands of people possibly across the country, even possibly here in Michigan, are going to receive a stop payment indicator. And what's going to happen is individuals are going to be requested to prove their identity. And you're going to have to go through the system, submit some additional paperwork in order for you to continue to receiving your benefits, so that the state is assured that the person collecting is a person who says they are. So please, keep a lookout for that email. Yes. But this, they did not breach any of the data at the state. They're using data that was previously stolen. For example, like the data from Experian that was stolen years ago.
Equifax and all of
that.
And
Equifax and such. So they're using data from those companies that they stole, and now they're submitting applications on behalf of people. And it's happening all across the country in several states. The Secret Service is working with state police and state authorities and trying to work on it here in the state of Michigan and across the country. So just flagging that for individuals. If you see a stop payment indicator notification on unemployment, that means you need to prove your identity and submit more documentation.
Yeah. It's an inconvenience, but I think it's necessary to ensure that these bad guys don't steal our money. Absolutely.
Exactly.
What's going on the auto insurance, issue?
Yeah. So as many people know, we passed auto insurance reform last year. It will go into effect at the end of June. Essentially, in June and July, it'll go live. I'm having a Facebook Live town hall on June 8th, where we will be joined by, State Senator Sylvia Santana and I are hosting this. We'll be joined by the Director of Insurance for the state of Michigan.
Okay.
The new system rolls out, provides individuals additional options for choosing additional types of plans. Traditionally, right now, you kind of have one type of auto insurance plan that you have to choose from as it pertains to healthcare coverage. They're providing more options in the new system that will hopefully provide some reduction in overall cost. So that's important to note. Secondly, this is only part one of the reform. Part two of the reform doesn't go into place until next year, where there's actually going to be a reduction in how much doctors and hospitals and such can charge for healthcare services if you get in an auto accident. That part of the reform does not go into effect until next year, which will also help bring down some of the overall costs. So part one rolls out in the next month, so please contact your auto insurance provider and start shopping around for plans. I believe some of them are already starting to quote individuals, and then part two will roll out next year.
Absolutely. One question I wanted to go back to the school funding. Are you noticing any cooperation from the Republicans on the school funding issue?
It's interesting. Early on, a few weeks ago, the Senate leader, the Republican leader of the Senate, spoke to, we do not want to cut money from schools. He will also advocate for federal dollars to come down and help us fill that hole in the budget because of COVID. However, just this week, a resolution was introduced by some of my Republican colleagues saying that they want zero federal assistance. And so we would just have to swallow the $3 billion hole and make the cuts across every single department. And so we're hearing conflicting messages, but I'm hopeful that we can come together at the table, put partisan politics aside, and find a way to fund our schools and fund these critical services that people need during this pandemic.
Absolutely. Did they say why they wanted zero federal funding?
Yeah, not in any way that I understood.
Okay. Is there any other issue that I haven't asked you that people need to know?
I think that, the questions you asked pertain to the most, that's a hot topics, the things that were currently being discussed right now. Just overall, as it pertains to COVID-19, also just want to reemphasize to individuals to continue practicing the safe social distancing as they can, to wear the masks as they're out and about, to wear the masks as they're inside of closed publicly enclosed spaces, to make sure that, if not for their safety, then for the safety of others. We're making progress. The numbers are dropping. Testing is rising, and numbers are dropping, which is a very positive indicator. And hopefully we'll continue on this path. Also important to note that we're not sure what will happen this fall with the flu and with COVID-19, so we want to monitor that. And then lastly, and I heard the commercial before jumping on, please complete your census. It takes just a few minutes to complete your census questionnaire, and those 2 minutes, 3 minutes will determine how much funding our community will receive for the next 10 years. And so it's very important that we do so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, Representative Abdallah Hammoud from the Dearborn area. And it's so wonderful to hear your voice and talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. Salam.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
If halal is important to your family, you can trust that Miramar will offer not only the highest quality halal products, but the best tasting and healthiest foods that can be placed on your family table with confidence. Miramar is the first and oldest halal certified food brand in America, serving the Arab and Muslim community, and offers a wide range of halal food products. Check out Miramar's halal food selection today by visiting Miramar's exclusive distributor, Ziyad Brothers Importing at www.ziyad.com.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600.
KASHAT's Mediterranean Market and Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, seafood dinners, and they offer special big trays of your favorite food, plus much more. KASHAT's Mediterranean Market and Shish Kebab address is 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills. Their phone number is 248-538-9552. That number again is 248-538-9552. And the supermarket is open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. KASHAT's Mediterranean Market and Shish Kebab will definitely leave you satisfied.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with the Michigan.com. The number here is 248-557-3300. Please give us a call should you have a question or a comment. A lot of people don't think that they would get the COVID-19. They would get the virus. And then they have no idea how it would affect them until it happens, and then it'll be too late because it does change our lives. It does make a big difference in our lives. And with us this morning, someone who had to go through that, she and her family, and I asked her kindly to be with us and to share her story so we can learn from her experience. With us this morning is Dr. Sara Sayed. Good morning.
Good morning, Khalil. How are you?
Good. How are you? And thank you so much for being with us. And, I wanted to ask you, before this happened, did you think that you would get the virus?
Thank you so much for calling me here today, but absolutely not. We're a very healthy family, very physically active. I never thought that we would actually get the virus and my kids will get it and it'll just be in the home, and that we would go through 3 miserable weeks. So it came as a shock.
Yeah. And how did it happen? How did you contact the virus?
What happened is that my husband is a healthcare professional. So knowing that he's a healthcare professional, we were taking a lot of precautions. He would change his scrubs at the hospital before entering the home, but keep his shoes out. As soon as he would enter, he would take a shower before he meets and greets any of us. So we were taking all the necessary precautions possible. But he's ENT, so he's a head and neck surgeon. So he did a trach on a patient, which he didn't know at the time was COVID positive, though he was fully, equipped with PPE. But he found out a few days later that was a COVID positive patient. Nevertheless, we continued with the precautions, but my husband caught the virus and he was positive, but he was asymptomatic. So we had no idea that he had the virus. A few days later, we were just, we went hiking with the kids in the wilderness. We were totally fine, but a few days later, I caught it. And then once I caught it, the first few days, we just thought maybe it's a normal flu. It's flu season. We went in for testing, but they didn't test me because they were only testing the healthcare professionals or frontline workers at that time. So they sent me back. So I came home. I just I secluded myself in a room, so just made sure that my kids are not entering the room. We were just taking necessary precautions just in case if this is coronavirus, which I at that time didn't think it was. I just thought it was a flu. But when the fevers continued, for days and days and days, and it's like, okay, and the body aches and all the other symptoms started. So 7 days later of 103 degrees Celsius fevers continue as I went back to the hospital. And obviously looking miserable this time, they tested me again, and it came positive, as I suspected. So really, we didn't think that we would catch it because we were taking all the precautions every time I would step out of the house. We were with our gloves and masks and all that, but this is airborne, and it is very, very important to just be extra careful.
Absolutely. And what you mentioned fever. What else it is associated with? What kind of pain? What kind of
Right. Okay. So the first 2-3 days it started with fever, and then it went into extreme body aches. I couldn't open my eyes. My eyes were swollen. I had major headaches. Every 4 hours, my body was shivering. I would get high fevers, and then I would be on 4,000 mg Tylenol per day. So once I take Tylenol, then my fever would come down with a pool of sweat. So every 4 hours, I was shivering, and then I was in a pool of sweat, and then I had no taste, extremely nauseated. I couldn't smell anything. It was something that I've just never felt before. I wasn't literally in bed. I didn't have the energy to even get up or even sit up or walk. So I was really down. And then I believe the 7th or 8th day, I started having a heavy chest, a pain in my chest or tightening in my chest where I felt like I couldn't breathe properly. So that's when I went into the hospital. Also, the blood pressure was going really low. I was extremely dehydrated because I couldn't eat anything. So it was just a really tough time, something I've never experienced before, and something I would not wish upon anyone. So I'm really here today to really emphasize on the fact how important it is to maintain social distancing. Because this has not gone away, even though our numbers are decreasing. But I'm hearing reports that it's going to come back. We may have more waves of it, and this is not something that I'd wish upon anyone.
Absolutely. So it didn't go into your lungs. Is that what happened?
It did. So when I did go to the hospital, they did my chest X-ray, and they said I had pneumonia. So they gave me azithromycin for pneumonia. I was even on Plaquenil, which later I found out from my ID doctors that it wasn't really actually good for me, but I had already taken a full dose of it. So yeah, I did have pneumonia, and I think because I've had pneumonia maybe 2 years ago, maybe that's why mine got really worse, because my husband didn't have symptoms, but my two older sons also got sick, but 4 or 5 days later they got better. And mine was the worst. But as a mother, my biggest worry was to make sure that my kids don't get it. So we completely separated floors. They were on a different floor than me, because we don't know there's so many strands, and we just wanted to make sure that they didn't get it. But a few days later, I found out that they both had it as well. They were miserable. They were in bed, and body aches, headaches, their eyes were hurting. They couldn't smell or taste anything. Fevers. But alhamdulillah, theirs didn't last too long, and they got better within 4 or 5 days. But this is something just to take very seriously, because a day after Eid al-Fitr, somebody that was very dear to us in Chicago just passed away with the same virus. So that's even more scary for me to hear that we just had this whole thing. And this family in Chicago, it's our family, and all 5 of them were at the hospital on vent. 4 of them came home, and the father never came home. So these things are very serious and to be taken seriously.
Absolutely. Now, you isolated yourself at the beginning, is that correct?
I did. But we were still sharing the same hallway to go into the kitchen and the washroom and stuff. But once I found out that I was COVID positive, I totally moved the floors. The kids were brought to the other floor. We were not sharing the same hallways anymore. Anytime I would get out of my room, I would have the Lysol spray everywhere, just try to be as careful, cautious as possible. But I guess if you live in the same house, it's the same vents as well. So even though, and if this is airborne, I'm not sure what happened, but my older 2 did get it. Our younger son, we're assuming that he got it, but he was asymptomatic like my husband was. So I think, we're going for our plasma donation soon, and for that we need to get antibodies tested, and then we'll be sure if the youngest one had it or not.
Sure. And now you're completely healed?
I wouldn't say completely healed. They said it'll take 2 to 4 months, because my level of exhaustion, I was a very physically active person before the COVID, kickboxing, yoga, just running on the block. But now I feel like 2 minutes of running and I'm just exhausted, huffing and puffing, and if I ever eat or drink something cold, I feel like I'm coughing again. After the incident, I feel like my eyesight have gone weaker as well. So I have gotten a few appointments. I'm going to get myself tested. I'm like, all of a sudden I feel so much older. After this whole COVID experience. I think I'm still recovering. Yes.
It takes time, hopefully, but you will recover from what I've read.
Every day.
And as you mentioned, and you practice a very good, healthy way of life, so that's going to help as well.
Yeah,
and we still don't understand. And we still don't understand really how this virus affects people differently. We still don't understand that, and
in the same household.
Amazing. Just amazing. First we were told only sick people, old people, and then we started seeing healthy people like you and others, and then we start seeing athletes, even die in this. So it's really unbelievable,
Exactly. And you know what? For me, my history is I rarely get sick. Every winter, or my kid gets sick, or they have a flu, and I'll be eating from their plate, and I would not get sick because, I don't know. I always felt like I had a really strong immune system. But when I got the virus, I was really, it caught me, at a shock. I didn't think that it would be this bad. For 16 days, I was in bed. 16 days, I could not get out. 16 days, I had fevers every 4 hours. 17th day was the first day when I didn't have fever, and I was just so excited, even though I was exhausted. But I was like, finally, this is going to end. So,
Well, we're glad that this really worked out, and I think you're one of the lucky ones. That some people still in the hospital, some people still under ventilators and just there are so many stories out there that there's some success stories. There are also some sad stories as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right. My heart just stopped beating when I heard my kids were sick. I've heard some really scary stories about this. Our relative that just passed away in Chicago. Giving him Bussel and barrier and all of that was such a big, ordeal, and nobody could visit him in his last days. He was, I believe, 71, 72, but he was perfectly healthy. He didn't have any health issues. Yeah. He drove himself to the hospital. We didn't think that it would hit him that hard because his wife was diabetic. We were more worried about her. And she wasn't as healthy as he was, but she went in 2 days of vent, came back home. And he was there for, I believe, 2.5 weeks, and it just deteriorated. So...
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
and the underlying message here is,
social distancing,
be careful.
Precautions, absolutely. Yeah. Precaution is better than cure. 100%. This is not something you want to get. You don't know how it's going to affect you. It could be asymptomatic, and other people can catch it from you. So just please, for your own sake, for the sake of your loved ones, and for the sake of the society, just take precautions, have your masks on, have your gloves on, maintain social distancing. I know people are so tired of staying at home and not meeting their family and friends, but we just got to keep doing this for the sake of our family and friends. Absolutely. Yeah. So
the smartest thing to do. And if you don't have to be somewhere, just don't go. And I know a lot of people tell me, well, I don't think. You know what? It's your life, so you need to take care of it. So,
absolutely.
It is. Your life and everybody else's life, too.
Exactly, especially that. You may be a carrier and you may be threatening someone else's life. So, it really worries me when I see especially the elderly in the grocery stores, and then I see little children just walking around, and because kids can be carriers. And the elderly are most at risk. So, I don't know, I watch that. It really scares me. So, may God protect everybody and, give a sense to just be more careful and socially responsible.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for calling me today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're happy that you're doing better. Please give our best to your family. And
thank you.
Thank your husband for us for his work and all his doing to save lives.
Thank
you again.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming here. Bye-bye. Salam.
You're welcome. Okay. We're going to take a short break. Please stay tuned.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
مرحبا سعيد.
أهلا علا.
ليش هالمقابلة الفاترة هي؟ بيقول المثل لاقيني ولا تغديني.
يمه زعلتي، شنو رأيك إذا لقيتك وأيضا غديتك بأحسن مطاعم ميشيغان مطعم عشتار؟
والله فكرة، أفضل الأطباق والمقبلات العربية والعراقية وأحلى ملقا.
ولا تنسين اللحوم الطازجة مباشرة من ملحمة عشتار لزباين عشتار، وملحمة عشتار توفر اختيارات متنوعة من كافة أنواع اللحوم وبأسعار متميزة وجودة أيضا مميزة. ملحمة عشتار تقع على 36865 راين رود في مدينة ستيرلينغ هايت.
وأكيد أحلى لمة وأطيب لقمة في مطعم عشتار اللي عنوانه 3625 15 مايل رود في مدينة ستيرلينغ هايت. هاتف 586-698-2585 586-698-2585.
يلا علا
يلا. عشتار للجودة وكرم الضيافة عنوان
مطعم عشتار.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. EMAD NAKKASH is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. EMAD NAKKASH. See Dr. EMAD NAKKASH and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with Michigan.com. And, I understand that the numbers are decreasing some, but the virus is still around and is still lethal. And from what we've heard so far from Sarah and her experience, and we're happy that she's doing better, and we wish her well and her family. And again, we thank her husband, who is a surgeon, for all he's doing to keep us safe and all the sacrifices that they're making. But there's still a lot of questions. I mean, it seems that the virus has evolved some, and then now we're talking about a vaccine. So we asked our friend Dr. Fady Moustarah to be with us this morning. And Dr. Moustarah is a board-certified community academic surgeon and clinical epidemiologist with a master's in public health. He's an international general surgeon, obesity specialist, and a published author of multiple book chapters and clinical papers. He's attained the rank of associate professor of surgery and also has a private practice in advanced laparoscopic general surgery and weight loss surgery in Southeast Michigan, using advanced surgical laparoscopic and robotic techniques to keep body surface wounds tiny. Patients are able to recover quickly and return home, usually on the same day of their major surgery. Dr. Moustarah's Michigan practice is headquartered in Bloomfield, and you can reach him at 989-980-4995, and I'll share that number with you later on. Now I just want to welcome Dr. Moustarah. Good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning, Khalil. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to Sarah tell her story. I did. I caught some of it, yes. Yes, and you and I talked about this before in a previous segment. It seems that the virus affects people differently. Is that correct?
It does, and this is what has been really challenging about this particular novel coronavirus. As we know, it is a new virus. We talked about this before together on the show. But what is most striking is that it doesn't have a predictable pattern, and this has been one of the major challenges. As we meet today to update each other on progress, we're still learning. That's the main message.
Sure. So what's new since we talked last? I said, what's new about the virus since the last time we talked?
Well, a lot has changed, and at the same time, not so much. And it comes back to what we just mentioned about the fact that it tends to have a variable clinical spectrum. People can have the virus on their person and not manifest any symptoms at all. And on the other hand, others can catch this virus and deteriorate rather quickly within a period of 10 hours from being well and breathing normally to needing support with breathing with the artificial breathing machines. So from that sense, we're still trying to get a grasp and a hold on the virus itself, its spread. We've studied its genome over time a little bit. Multiple labs across the world have been sequencing the genome of the virus to try to understand it better and help in setting the stage for vaccine development. That has progressed, and there's been recent news in the month of May and mid-May that there's some encouraging news from different vaccine manufacturers. But the overall update that is worth highlighting is that the virus still exists in communities globally, and it still exists at significant rates. that we should remain vigilant and not dismiss it for the potent virus that it is. Different from the common flu, although presenting similar in terms of its symptom profile with some people. But nevertheless, despite the encouraging news of, even in our own state of Michigan, hospital admissions reducing. In our hospital, we just have 2 patients right now, for example, that are COVID confirmed, and 0 patients on ventilators, which is very good news. And this experience has been shared across Southeast Michigan and the state. But nevertheless, there is still a significant burden of illness in the state of Michigan, especially in the Detroit and suburb areas, and Wayne County, Oakland County, and Macomb County still rank high in terms of disease burden. And as you and your listeners are aware, parts of the state, like up north in the Upper Peninsula, have started to go through phased reopening, and that's encouraging as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, on the medication, have we identified like a specific medication that's more effective or most effective?
Well, there has been some good news in that arena. It's mostly related to an antiviral that you may have heard of called remdesivir. There has been, encouraging results from controlled clinical trials, and what these are sort of the top of the line study tools to try to establish evidence. And so randomized controlled trials have shown that using a drug such as remdesivir does have positive outcomes. Now, when we scratch beneath the surface and ask what these positive outcomes are, they're really centered around reducing the length of illness with the virus from, 15 days to maybe 11 days. And that, while encouraging, still leaves a big gap for medical therapeutics to be introduced to help us treat people afflicted with COVID-19. So the news is encouraging, but if I were to put everything in perspective and in balance, I would dare to confidently claim that we're still lacking some important therapeutics, and I don't think remdesivir is something that is available for everyone and anyone on demand as needed. So it's going to be a drug that's rationed, even despite its limited positive outcomes that have been recently demonstrated. And this story is available for other drugs that are under study. There's a lot of conflicting data out there. We have to keep our critical appraisal detectors on alert to ask the questions: how does it work? What is the outcome? Hydroxychloroquine is one that's being talked about a lot, and you come across a lot of conflicting results, sometimes encouraging, others less so. But the bottom line is, no, we don't have the definitive therapeutic to say this drug is going to help us get over COVID-19 at this point in time. A lot of study and research is still being underway.
Mm-hmm. Have we gotten better in dealing with the virus? I think we've learned a lot in the medical, community.
Yes, we have. I would say it has been a learning process, and the learning has been in multiple domains, from understanding what this contagion is to better appreciating how to contain it, and if unable to contain it, how to mitigate its spread within a community. And flatten the curve as we went through that phase in March and April. And we've also learned how to treat it a little bit more promptly on a clinical level, meaning once identified, how do we manage patients, how do we separate the COVID positive from the COVID negative from the suspected patients, how do we jump early in terms of rescuing and resuscitating people that are crashing between quotations medically, meaning that if they are needing critical care support and they're needing to go into an intensive care environment, we are a little bit more in tune and aggressive with the management strategies. In the absence of any one direct targeted therapeutic that we can hang our hat on and say, okay, this is what we need to use to treat and we need to start it now. It's sort of a system-wide enhancement of how we see patients, identify them, get them the global care needed for when they need it most, and help them get through the illness. The people that are highest risk that do fall victim to this illness and then end up unfortunately requiring ventilatory support, usually needed for a prolonged period of time. And if they are at high risk and have many medical illnesses such as asthma, diabetes, obesity, and the list goes, immunocompromised for whatever reason, and they have these risk factors and they need critical care and they go on a ventilator, it's still, the outcome or prognosis is still a little bit grim. But the good news is, like I just mentioned, we're seeing less and less people in our hospitals and less people that are actually needing ventilators.
Absolutely. So now, everything seems to be centered around the immune system. You know, how strong it is and how it works. And we've heard a lot about vitamin D and zinc and playing a role in keeping the immune system strong. How true is that?
Well, right now these are, hypothetical considerations for the role of vitamin D and zinc, specifically in COVID-19. So I'll start by saying we have absolutely zero shred of evidence to suggest that vitamin D or zinc are effective therapeutics when someone has COVID-19. I can also not claim that they are effective in preventing the disease. But what we know in general from previous research done on vitamin D and zinc in the domain of virology and flu-like illnesses such as the common cold, that they do have a role. Vitamin D is known to enhance the immune cells, for example, and these including, I don't want to get too technical here, but the T lymphocytes,
sure.
And the macrophages. These are different white blood cells that are part and parcel of our immune response army of cells. And vitamin D is essential for enhancing that function. It's been associated with, not having vitamin D in sufficient levels in your blood has been associated with increased susceptibility to infection. You're more likely to catch a common cold or an immune-related disorder. But again, balance that with the fact that vitamin D deficiency is quite common as a baseline in our population that is susceptible to these illnesses. So the analysis is nuanced. We do know that vitamin D does have an immune supportive role, but what is the role in COVID-19 specifically? We don't know. Similarly, zinc also has been shown through studies done, dating way back to 2013, that it does have a role enhancing the immune response. But can I tell you, go stock up on zinc lozenges now because that's going to be the key to preventing you from getting COVID-19? I can't offer that advice.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. Now, speaking of vaccine, how far have we gotten, and what kind of vaccine are we developing?
Yeah, that's an important question, the vaccine. And before talking about the vaccine, I don't know, it's important to just kind of remember what this virus is, and from there have a better understanding how the vaccine development has come along. So as I mentioned, it is a new virus, but it is of the type, it's a messenger RNA virus, and that's a specific type of virus. And basically, it is similar to other coronaviruses, such as the SARS and the MERS coronaviruses that we've heard of before. So vaccine development usually takes a lot of time, but because of the similarity of the SARS-CoV-2, which to the previous SARS virus and the MERS virus, we're able to take a lot of research that was shelved for a while and reinvigorate it to speed up the process to try to come at a vaccine for COVID-19. So that has been done. That has been done vigorously. The White House has supported an initiative to basically ramp up production for vaccine development. And there are multiple laboratories across the world that are basically working on this. At present, we have two sort of front runners that seem to be getting a lot of news press. One is from the Moderna vaccine, if you've heard of it. And Moderna vaccine is a company basically that has developed a messenger RNA structured vaccine that goes and basically inserts into cells and starts producing the spike protein that's on this coronavirus. And this is the spike protein that your body, once exposed to the spike protein, develops an immune response to. So that's being tested, and just this month, there's been recent news that it's starting to show some promise, and that it's basically safe with initial testing. Another virus is the one from another vaccine, is the one being tested in Oxford, and that is in a co-venture with AstraZeneca that just received a huge sort of funding support to ramp up production. And that vaccine is also is in its very early days, and it's starting to show some promise that it does initiate an immune response with detectable antibodies in the bodies of the animals that were injected with the virus. Remember, we're at early stage testing, so there are phases to vaccine development, and we're at phase 1 right now. And phase 1 is usually started after safety is established in animals, after some animal studies have been done, and they go into phase 1 human clinical trials, and they're usually a small number of patients, and the virus is and the vaccine is studied for safety, and the volunteer research individuals or subjects are carefully followed for the development of any signs of illness or adverse reaction to the vaccine before it's pushed to phase 2.
Absolutely. Please stay with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned, please.
إلي ساعة عم بستناك مشان نروح نتغدى بالشام.
الشام؟
إيه بالشام ومو بالشام.
شلون صارت هي؟
بدل ما نروح نتغدى بالشام
إيه
جابوا لنا الأكلات الشامية الطيبة لعنا لهم.
وشلون بقى؟
هذا مطعم دماس عم يعمل كل الأكلات الشامية الطيبة هو.
وطيبة؟
طيبة كتير.
شرفوا نتغدى سوا بمطعم دماس.
الأكل الشامي الأصيل فقط بدماس كوزين. زوروهم على 28841 أورشد ليك بفارمينغتون هيلز، ولطلباتكم اتصلوا على 248-987-4609. That's 248-987-4609. دماس كوزين and catering، جبنا لكم الشام لعندكم. مركز طب ريهاب للعلاج الطبيعي بإدارة الدكتور محمد فرح حسين، أخصائي العلاج الطبيعي بخبرة أكثر من 13 عاما. طب ريهاب يقدم خدمات العلاج الطبيعي وإعادة التأهيل، ويضم مجموعة من أفضل أخصائي التشخيص الدقيق للحالات المرضية، مع خبرة عالية في التعامل مع الحالات التي تحتاج إلى إعادة تأهيل وعناية خاصة بعد العمليات والكسور. طب ريهاب يستقبل كل الحالات المتعلقة بألم الرقبة، الظهر، المفاصل، شلل الوجه، الانزلاق الغضروفي، عرق النساء، الحوادث وإصابات العمل. خبيرات في المعالجة النسائية لخصوصيات تامة للسيدات. عندما تبحثون عن رعاية متميزة اقصدوا توب ريهاب للعلاج الطبيعي، الواقع على 15001 ميشيغان افنيو، وللمواعيد اتصلوا على 313-846-0555. That's 846-0555.
Life is a non-profit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. We're talking to Dr. Fady Moustarah about the vaccine. Dr. Moustarah, you did mention the vaccine that they're working on in regard to the DNA. Are there any questions about that? Are there any concerns? There are like some discussions on social media. How could this affect the body?
Yes, I mean, there's lots on social media, and this is something we spoke both about before together, that we have to be careful about our source of information, what to take as fact, what to accept as fiction, and how to tell the difference and where to go for reliable information. That being said, there are always concerns with vaccines. Vaccines have been a controversial subject for many for years, but they have proven themselves to be clinically essential in eradicating some infectious diseases and protecting populations from others. But with this particular COVID-19 vaccine, it's too early to start to worry about it because none of us are going to get it anytime soon. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
I anticipate a timeline that there's going to be at least, I would suspect, 8 to 12 months before it becomes available for people, in my estimation. And will there be safety concerns? Yes, but the process is not going to be rushed. The clinical process of vaccine development is not going to be rushed, and there will be no compromise made on safety. So what you're hearing about in social media venues may be a lot of conspiracy theories, like there has existed for almost everything and anything in this pandemic or outside of it. But some of the questions are important and worth discussing. So when we're talking about vaccine and its challenge, we have to keep hope versus reality in check. It can be perhaps the best hope for ending this pandemic, but that needs to be demonstrated. We're still very early. The vaccines that are being developed, and sure, they are messenger RNA-based, that insert into a patient's cells and start producing protein within the patient's, using the patient's own cellular machines. And people may worry, is that genetic engineering? Does that affect the person's health? These are legitimate questions, but what I would say is that they're developed in such a way as to not insert anything more than the specific protein for the virus to be developed and present.
Sure.
Now, I don't want to get too technical, so you stop me if you feel that it's technical, the point, but if I can be general, to ensure vaccine safety, we have to be confident that several vaccines for SARS have been tested in animals, and most of these vaccines improved the animal survival before. We didn't develop human vaccines for SARS because SARS disappeared. And another vaccine challenge is providing long-term protection. So that's a more legitimate concern about safety. If a vaccine is developed, how long will it protect me? And is there a predictable immune response? That has to be figured out and is not established yet, and that can only be done as we go through the phases of the clinical trials. And will they protect older people? These vaccines, older people tend to have a more of a stunted immune response in general. So how effective will these vaccines be in older people who are at highest risk of COVID-19? So those are some of the health and safety challenges, I think, for vaccines that we should focus on. Unless you have a specific question, I'll turn it back to you. And
that should be enough. I just one last topic, and very quickly, in like half a minute, the fact that people, if they have an underlying medical issues, some people, other than COVID-19, some people have been shying away from going to hospitals. They should go, because hospitals have different ways of dealing with the different illnesses. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I would echo that recommendation you just made. Having an illness that needs attention, warrants a visit to the hospital and should get that visit to the hospital, especially now. I understand people's concern. I am a physician as well as can be a patient and would worry when I go there, but I think the landscape has changed significantly from when we started to learn about this virus to where we're at today. All hospital systems have developed protocols and systems to separate confirmed patients from suspected patients, and to develop treatment zones where there is very little mixing, to develop protocols for safe evaluation, testing, and even surgical interventions in patients. So you'll find out now if there's something that, first of all, is bothering you, even though there is a risk of catching coronavirus anywhere in the healthcare system itself today, it's a safe place to go and seek help and follow the guidance of your healthcare provider and physician, and as opposed to the alternative, which is continue to suffer with your ailment and
suffer. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to leave it to that. If you have any more questions for Dr. Moustarah, the number is 989-980-4995. Again, 989-980-4995. Also can be reached at email f.moustarah, moustarah@hotmail.com. Dr. Moustarah, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and to share this valuable information.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information.
Thank you. I want to apologize to Jerry. We ran out of time. We're unable to take his call. I want to thank you for being with us. Thank Representative Hammoud. Thank Dr. Sarah for sharing her story. Thank Dr. Moustarah. Thank all the listeners. Again, apologize to Jerry for not being able to take his call. Next time we will. Stay safe and stay healthy. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. This is Khalil Hachem. Thanks again, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye now.